Hey there, and welcome to our Bellroy Carryology Essentials Sling review. Here at Nomads Nation, we have been reviewing the world's best EDC and travel gear for the last 7 years. And in this video, I'm gonna tear this sling apart. We're gonna pack it out, double check its advertised capacity. I'm gonna give you my brutally honest pros and cons and overall scores. And you're gonna wanna stick around to the end of the video, because if you're not quite sold that this is the sling for you, I will give you 2 sling alternatives that you might like better. Let's talk about the gist of the Bellroy Carryology Essentials Sling. Fun fact, Bellroy and Carryology, although they're collabing on this, they're owned by the same people. It's the same company. And also fun fact, as opposed to other collabs, this is not a limited edition collab. I actually reached out to Bellroy myself, and I was like, yo, is this gonna be a permanent stay? And they're like, dude, yeah, this is here to stay. So this is kind of a weird collab from that sense. And the third note on the collab is this Essential Sling is sort of like the evolution of the Chimera Sling, which although that sling drives me a little bit crazy, it's one of my favorites of all time in terms of innovation and material selection. It's a really cool sling. Now let me show you the sling's top features. It's got a beautiful silhouette with a quick access front pocket, a main compartment that is accessible via Bellroy's double zipper system. Something that I'm a huge fan of. I'll talk about that in a bit more detail 2 chapters from now. The sling uses stunning materials throughout, both on the outside and on the inside. We've got a hidden pocket on the back panel and a webbing harness system inspired by the Venture Sling, which I'm also quite a big fan of. Now this sling is advertised at 4 liters capacity, but here at Nomads Nation, we always double check that. I will admit, over the years, having measured a lot of bags volume, Bellroy has a tendency to overstate their capacity, especially with slings. All right, you can see the main compartment fully packed out with our factory grade measurement balls. Let's do some other measurements too. Height, width, and depth. We're looking at a width of around 13.5 inches, about 7 inches height, and just under 5 inches depth. Quick shoulder strap check while we got the tape measure out. At its shortest, it's giving you around 26.5 inches, but at its longest, wow, this is a long shoulder strap. Holy crap. Wow, this is record breaking. We've got around 50 inches. That is long. And for the volume check, we're only gonna test the main compartment. And the reason being that when the main compartment is fully packed out, as it currently is, the front pocket is very flush. Like there's no additional capacity in here. And the same with the back pocket here. So the main compartment will tell the whole story. Lost a couple balls. How many did I lose, Sig? Around 20? No. So you can see right here, we're looking at just under 3 liters capacity, which I'll be honest, for Bellroy, not as egregious as I've seen in the past. But I can definitely say this is definitely not gonna really feel like a full 4-liter sling, definitely closer to like 2.5, 3 liters. Now I will say the sling is definitely on the heavier side, nothing terrible. You can see it's clocking in just under 1 pound. The Essentials Sling currently comes in 2 color options. This is what the sling looks like when it's empty. And here you can see it fully packed out and worn on the Nomads Nation team. I'm 5'8" and Jason Bagmoa is 6'2". All Bellroy bags are covered by a 6-year warranty. And for all that, it runs around 130 USD, which is definitely not cheap for a sling. But it doesn't mean that it's not gonna be awesome or provide value. I think for a lot of people, this is going to be a dream sling. And if that's the case, and if at any point in this review you're thinking about making a purchase or you want to find out more information, we do recommend doing so with the first link in the description. That link makes sure that you get the best price. And also we oftentimes negotiate discount codes with the brands that we review. And if that's the case, that's where it'll be. Let's talk about the materials of the Carryology Bellroy Essentials Sling. And this is probably, in my opinion, going to be the most important part of this sling. Like, it's definitely a functional sling, but this is just a materials masterpiece. Like this is like freaking Bentley. Like if you just like nice things, you're gonna like this sling. Cause I like nice things and I like this sling. Bellroy claims their primary fabric is a Bita nylon, but Bellroy's fabrics are so difficult to keep up with because they're constantly innovating them and changing them, which is great for the sake of innovation and change, but it's hard to know like what is what. I will say that if you've used the Chimera Sling or the Apex backpack before from Bellroy and Carryology, that's the fabric that's being used. It's sort of like a crinkle nylon that you'd see on maybe the Aer Go pack, but with a lot more stiffness to it, a lot more structure to it, which I think is great on a backpack, but kind of unnecessary on a sling. And it's gonna give the sling just a little bit more structure than I personally prefer, but it's also gonna keep the sling very sleek looking, which is why, aesthetically speaking, this sling is it's just beautiful. But it's not just a beautiful material. This fabric is also gonna be quite weather resistant. And because it's a nylon, it's going to be very abrasion resistant as well. Also for materials, one thing that Bellroy does better than anyone else is the internal game, which, you know, if you're spending 130 USD on a sling, you kind of want the internal game to slap. And it's just beautiful in here. You can see we've got different colors and different fabrics. It's just, you know, again, quite luxurious when it comes to the experience. One material choice I'm not a huge fan of is the zippers, where we're using, we got YKK. That part's good. But the zippers are PU coated. Now that's this plastic-like finish right here. And the good thing about a plastic-like finish, AKA PU coating, is it's gonna make the sling extra weather resistant, which is really important to some people. But on the flip side, it makes the zippers very sticky, and this plastic coating can peel over time. Never a guarantee, but it can definitely happen. Here's the proof. The shoulder strap is using a gorgeous, silky, smooth nylon webbing, the same fabric that seatbelts are made out of. We've got metal hardware giving it a bit more of an elevated feel. And probably the most interesting material choice of all is this buckle right here, which I have never seen before. Take a look at this, guys. Check out that thing. This Terminator look. Now it's big and bulky, which I'm not crazy about, but the release is sick, where you lift up on this right there, and then boom, you can see got two separate sections. A little bit of magnetic awesomeness to join the two pieces more easily. It's definitely a very cool piece of hardware. Oh, okay, it's actually Woojin. That's awesome. Woojin's one of the best hardware makers in the game. They're my personal favorite. We actually work with them on my backpack brand, Firo. So for the materials, when it comes to the overall score, I'm gonna give this sling a 4.5 out of 5. There are some functional compromises made with the materials, but at the end of the day, this is not meant to be like your dad's Evergood sling. Pure functionality is not the goal here. Premium luxury awesomeness is the goal here. So if that's what you're looking for, very few slings are gonna do it this well. And one disclaimer on that score and just all scores from this review is that they are personal, just based on my experience using the bag. All right, moving on, let's do a pack out of the Carryology Bellroy Essentials Sling. You can see I got a bunch of EDC and or travel stuff right here. Now let's start by talking about big bulky stuff, like water bottles and headphones. Because as a 4-liter sling, you'd think that it's got some balls to it, right? It can really fit bulkier bits of gear, but it's quite an interesting shape, this sling, where it's a little bit on the taller side and it's a little bit thinner. And remember, it's also not a full 4 liters. But that doesn't mean that it can't fit bulky things. It just means maybe not as bulky as you might be expecting. My 24-ounce Columbia water bottle fits beautifully inside. Your typical size Novel, also nice snug fit. Now it doesn't say anything about tablets. Let's do a quick check. I've got a 11.5 incher here, and I think it's gonna fit. Ooh, man, that is close. All right, so you can see my 11.5 inch tablet right there. The zipper, oh, it's, I wouldn't do it. It's so close, but it's too close. That's a no-go. And over-the-ear headphones also fit very nicely. I got my Sony XM-H5s. But I think for me, I'd use it for mostly smaller bits of gear, because there's a lot of great pockets in here to help you stay organized. So we'll do the keys on the leash, front pocket here. We've got 2 orange lining pockets. You can do a snack in one, tissues in the other. Not a lot of space in this pocket, so just good for some small essentials. This power mesh pocket, love this fabric. Stretchy, silky. I'm gonna throw my shades in there. Boom, right at the top. This is a passport size notebook, so you can slide that right here. Great traveling sling, that's nice. My Bellroy wallet as well. Got some charging cables on the side here. Again, power mesh pocket, a little bit of elasticity to it. I can throw a charging brick in there. And you know what, screw it. Pop my water bottle in there as well. Will it close? Maybe. No, okay, I got ambitious. Now what's interesting is that most modern slings have some sort of sleeve in the back of the main compartment, ideal for a phone and or a Kindle and or a tablet, but this one, as you can see, does not. Typically there'd be like a sleeve right here, no sleeve, so if you want to use your Kindle, it's just gotta go in the main compartment, or it can go in the back. Now the back is interesting, very well designed. It's huge. See, this back pocket is not just on the bottom here, it's actually this entire space. So therefore the Kindle can go back here. You can even, can I do it this way? No way. Yeah, totally can. So I can fit the Kindle actually tall in here, which is interesting. For me though, I'd probably use this pocket for boarding pass and passport when I'm traveling with a sling. And then if you want to carry anything on the outside of the sling, we have an external lash point right here. Next up, let's talk about this bag's comfort. Now, I love this harness system because you can see we have these 2 nylon webbing attachment points. And then attached to the attachment point is the actual shoulder strap itself. And this gives the sling just a lot of mobility and a lot of movement. And I first fell in love with this in the Bellroy Venture Ready Sling 2.5 liter. And it just meant that any which way you put the sling, front, side, back, it just flows so nicely with your body. Now this is a different shape than the Venture, but regardless of the shape, what's happening with that harness system is like, it's just staying very flush on my chest, very flush on the back as well. But also because of that shape, I think this is a great side carrier as well, as it can go in messenger mode very well. And because it's the world's longest sling shoulder strap, actually it works nicely in messenger mode. You can drop it a little bit more. And with the shape, I just think it works in messenger mode. I like carrying this sling like this. Remember, we got the super silky nylon webbing here, which just feels really luxurious and quite nice against your clothes. Sometimes brands use a more coarse shoulder strap, which doesn't feel as luxurious, but one negative with something like this is it might end up sliding a little bit because of how silky smooth it is. But it's a great strap because the dangle management is just so clean. There's no extra webbing flopping around, keeping our little dangle protester nice and happy. There's no real ventilation on the back panel, which, you know, on a bag this size, we're not dealing with a lot of real estate. But I can't imagine if you live in a very hot and sweaty location and you happen to be a particularly hot and sweaty person, that might be a deal breaker for you, but I think for most people, this will be okay. Which is why for me, with the comfort score, I'm giving this sling a 4.5 out of 5. It's comfy, the harness system is very versatile, and I can carry it in side mode, which I like for a larger sling sometimes. You can even do it like this. Not quite my favorite. Now you're pushing the harness system into like new territory that is not really designed to explore, but it does work. Next up, let's talk about the functionality of the Bellroy Carryology Essentials Sling. Now, let me talk about the opening to the main compartment. I teased this earlier and it's very interesting and it's very important to understand the functionality of this bag. As you can see, we've got 2 zippers, one on each side. Now this is rare. Most sling bags will have like 2 zippers there. They kind of like are together and you can like open them this way. But this Bellroy sling and the Venture sling as well, you got them on either side, which means that you can never have 2 on the same side or 2 centered here. It takes away your customization, let's say, for where you want to put the zippers. They have to remain on either point of the bag to keep the bag closed. But then what that allows is, look at this wide mouth opening. Bellroy basically cut the connection point here. What would normally be this and very tight, then goes to this, which is really awesome. And you can really get in there and see what's where and fit more gear. So for me, the trade-offs are absolutely worth it. And it's one of my favorite functional things about the design of this sling and a lot of Bellroy slings in general. Now for the pocketing, I will admit, these pockets are all kind of tight. You're not gonna fit a lot in them, especially these side pockets. I probably wouldn't end up using them myself. I don't love these. Love the sunglasses pocket being elevated. That keeps the shades nice and safe, but also accessible. Now access when you're wearing the sling also rocks. The front pocket is kind of tight, but you can get in there and get what you need. Got my Cliff Bar. We are losing some accessibility right here where the zipper stops. So like it's a lot harder actually for me to grab my tissues with the speed that I so crave, but I got them. It's not impossible, it's just a bit more of a challenge. This is where the sling fails a little bit too, in my opinion, or at least it suffers because this material is so structured and the design is so thin that front pocket is just a little bit of a to get in and out of. But that's negated, in my opinion, by the amazing access into the main compartment. That is awesome. Back pocket, super secure. I'm not used to a back zipper being so centered like it is here. Typically it's a little bit higher, which means that I don't have to like move it around as much to access it. But because of that, like if it was right here, then I can actually just access the zipper without even like maneuvering the sling. But because it's lower, I kind of want to do one of these to actually get into it. The functionality of this buckle, you know, that can happen. You have to keep in mind how the buckle actually functions. Otherwise it will fall. Once you get the gist of it, nope. When I was testing this sling, I always forgot that. So you have to develop that habit where you hold this part, the top of the shoulder strap, and then you pull this, and then bada bing, bada boom, good to go.
Do you like this type of buckle or like something new, or do you just prefer a more traditional buckle?
You know, that's a good question, Sig, because I love the spirit of innovation, being a bag reviewer and a bag founder myself, and I love Woojin. But sometimes I think that it's a novelty, but it's one of those things that maybe gets a little annoying as time goes on, and maybe functionally speaking, this wouldn't necessarily be my favorite. No, I'm gonna say, I do not like this. I prefer this as either a more traditional buckle or buckle-less. Cut the buck, dude. because this will give you a little bit of bulk. It's quite a bulky piece of hardware, right? So like you can feel this on your skin pressing against you. I gotta remember like what to hold and what to pull. And for me, I don't wanna think about the bag as I'm using it, and this does require a little extra thought process that I might not have the capacity to give this bag, you know? Now for my overall score for the functionality, I'm gonna give this sling a 3.5 out of 5. It's very functional. Just for me, the negative points are not my favorite choice of hardware, not my favorite choice of zippers with PU coating. They're quite sticky. And just with the material selection, I do love this fabric, but it makes the bag feel a little bit stiffer than I typically prefer on a sling. But I wanna be clear, it still functions very nicely. Now real fast, before I jump into the next and most important part of this review, talking about the overall score and pros and cons, I gotta let you know that if you're enjoying this video, I wanna welcome you again to Nomads Nation, and also let you know that here at NN, we don't just do reviews on our YouTube channel, but we also have the Nomads Nation newsletter. And in that newsletter, I'm taking this whole gear thing to the next level. Basically, we are the intersection of travel, everyday carry, gear, and just carry, like that quadfecta. And because of our obsession here, and the fact that I have a unique perspective because I'm a reviewer and a brand owner, our newsletter is a one-of-a-kind resource. So basically, we're bringing to your inbox on a weekly basis everything that's happening in this incredible community. I'm talking the newest drops, limited edition collabs, industry trends, and everything in between. So if you wanna join 10,000 plus other gearheads and carry nerds, be sure to sign up to the Nomads Nation newsletter, which you can do linked below. Just find this globe emoji, you can sign up there. All right, pros and cons, let's do it. Overall, pro number one is going to be the material selection. From that perspective, this sling is elite. Pro number two, for me, is just the aesthetic. Bellroy made a sling that just looks nice. I would maybe show up to a first date wearing this sling. And pro number three for me is going to be this harness system. This sling is extremely comfortable and versatile to wear. But on the flip side, all bags have cons. Here are mine. Con number one for some, I didn't mention this, is going to be the fact that the harness system does not detach. Many of us like to take our sling and take off the harness strap and boom, sling is now transformed into a tech pouch or a dop kit or whatever you want it to be. Not an option here, not a deal breaker for me. Unfortunately though, not an option here. Con number two is just gonna be the overall stiffness of this primary fabric, not my personal favorite when it comes to a sling. And con number three, no doubt about it, price point. 130 USD for a sling. Wow, that is expensive. Okay, next up, let's do the final scores. For value, I'm gonna give this sling a 2.5 out of 5. I don't wanna say it's not bringing value in terms of like what you're getting, because what you're getting is really impressive. These are luxury, premium, elite materials through and through. So if you got the disposable income and you wanna drop 130 on a sling, no judgments coming from me. This sling is gonna give you the experience that you want. But I'm just gonna say, like, based on like market standards, this is definitely not the best value purchase that you can buy for a sling. Now looking at the 4 scores we've given this sling so far, 4.5 out of 5 for materials, 4.5 out of 5 for comfort. For functionality, it gets a 3.5 out of 5, and for value, a 2.5 out of 5. Which means that this sling has an overall score of 3.75 out of 5. Now real fast, to all of our hardcore bag nerd community out there, as you know, this is new for us. We typically don't score bags this way. So if you like it, you hate it, or you have any ideas for suggestions, please let us know in the comments below. And just a reminder, in case you're thinking about picking one of these slings up, we do recommend doing so with the first link in the description, because A, that link makes sure that you get the best price, and B, if we have any discount codes, which we oftentimes have, that's where you'll find them. But if you're not quite sold on the Bellroy, Carryology, collab, let's talk alternatives. Now, first of all, if you are new to the Nomads Nation channel, you should definitely check out our leaderboard rankings video. In this video, myself and the rest of the Nomads Nation team, we get together and we pick our favorite bags in different bag categories. I've gone ahead and linked that above. Also though, in case you aren't aware, and I mentioned this earlier, here at Nomads Nation, after reviewing hundreds of the world's best bags, we decided to make our own bag brand. And that brand is called Firo. At Firo, we are very focused. We have one mission, and that's to help keep modern professionals streamlined and focused. We've got an EDC bag, a travel bag, and our own high quality sling. You can learn more about that sling or Firo in general at firo.co or with the second link in the description. But if we're very close with the essentials, here are 2 slings that might get you a little bit closer. Now my first alternative will be the Bellroy Venture Sling. I mentioned it a bunch of times in this review. It's obviously what the essentials was inspired by. That and sort of the Chimera, it's kind of a hybrid of the two. And this review is very old. It's a little outdated. We've improved a lot in Nomads Nation over the years, but I wanted you to check it out just in case, so you can see, you know, what else Bellroy is bringing to the table. Because the Venture can do some things that the Essentials cannot. They're both just really great slings. And my second alternative will be the Aer Day Sling 4. This is a great pick for you if you're looking for something that's just really high quality in terms of materials and fabrics, but maybe you don't want to drop 130 USD on it. Aer brings the A game with their materials, but always coming in at a very accessible price point. It's a little bit different of an aesthetic, a little bit more like kind of techie urban. Honestly, it's one of the best slings in the world. You cannot go wrong with any of these slings. You just gotta pick the one that best suits your needs. And if you wanna learn more about the two alternatives, you can do so by watching these videos right here. If you got any questions, be sure to let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Aaron, this is Nomad's Nation, and we'll catch you next time.